Italian Jewish resistance hero Eugenio Curiel. Castel Sant'Angelo, which is Hadrian's tomb in English. It's in Rome. Goes back to around 2,000 years ago. It's still standing in Rome by the Tiber River. And my flying chi, it's spelled C-H-I, I'll explain that in a minute, Obi Juju Kenobi. And I can hear a pin drop. Fascinating. Anyone familiar with Star Wars?
Mm.
Everybody? Anybody? Yeah? So anyway, I was, the last part I did of this artwork, it's also called And Looked Out by Alex from above and below as he tries to comprehend the artwork. Alex was an elderly friend of mine in the 1990s at a neighborhood library branch I worked at those years. He and his wife were both refugees from Vienna, Jewish refugees from Nazism, and we became friends. And after his wife died, 1998, something like 14 years ago, Alex moved back to Vienna after 60 years, which astonished me. I never thought he'd go back. And in 1999, I went to visit him on my way to my first teaching trip to Israel, and he was in the Jewish old folks home in Vienna. And I did drawings of him, and this image, I did it like a linoleum block print. Do you do linoleum block prints here at all? Something similar?
In senior school, we do
Senior.
polyprints.
Polyprints, I hear what that is. And Alex had a hard time understanding my work, but he was nonetheless, especially pieces like this, which he didn't see because he was already gone, I think, he died a year later in 2000. But he was also visibly moved by my work. There was an exhibit in Seattle in 1995 he went to, photographs taken by a Nazi soldier in the Warsaw Ghetto, and they had 7 of my drawings on display. And he walked around looking at the drawings, and he was crying, he was weeping. His mother had been murdered at Auschwitz. Alex's wife, whose name was Gertrude, was a Kindertransport refugee. She got out before the war began to England. She worked as a maid in an English estate castle somewhere in the countryside. Was very unhappy. She didn't speak any English. Nobody was friends with her. But she was alive at the end of the war, which itself was a miracle. When I was working on the drawing, the last thing I did was the battery operated, what I call like clappity-clap chicken toy here. And I was reading a book at the same time I was working on it by a West African author named Achebe. It's called Things Fall Apart, which in this novel he writes about how society changed in the land where he grew up, also based on what happened with European and British colonialism in Africa. And I decided to draw this, glancing at it on a shelf in my flat, as you'd call it, my apartment studio. He wrote about something that I was unfamiliar with, a chi, C-H-I, a personal God. Now in like Jewish, Christian, Islamic religions, you don't normally have a personal God, and the concept as Achebe described it. And that's how the title came about, my flying chi, and naturally it's a play on words, Obi Juju Kenobi. Thanks. Next image.